we're on. Hello.
We couldn't hear you. What'd you just say?
I said hello. Welcome to the BCM podcast.
All right, calm down. We couldn't hear. Michael's audio took over.
Oh.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Go on.
Well,
I hate to ruin the flow.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the BCM podcast, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, comment, let us know what's going on. Let us know if you're interested in the content that you're hearing and if you're not, because we like to know both. My co-host right here, Michael Searle, Searle ATX, and below us is Brad Swail, at Brad Swail, with a weird JD Vance background, which I think is the same one from last week, but I'm not sure.
2 weeks ago, but that's okay. There's reasons for it.
And this Brad Swail has been in the comments on our YouTube channel, so get on there, fire back at him. Don't take any S.
Yeah, don't.
What is happening with you two? What is Charles? Are you okay?
No.
Charles is not okay.
No, I'm not. No, so I was telling Michael before the show, and I said I was going to save it for the show. I just had a rough week. Like, it's just been a rough week. Last Friday, I lost my license at the airport after I checked in.
Oh, right.
Then I had to fly back home on Monday at a 5 a.m. flight from a regional airport that doesn't open. Literally does not open until 30 minutes before the flight boards, meaning I was sitting outside at 3 a.m. in the dark outside of this rural airport waiting for them to open. Then had to go through a 2-hour identity verification, made it home, thank God. Relatively busy week with work. Yesterday, I closed my thumb in a freaking car door, and it's turning all types of colors. I think it'll be all right. It's been throbbing for about 24 hours. It's, it is what it is.
It's an interesting question. Since you're a melanated fella, right? And I know that you can tell that it's bruised and purple, right? But I would think that I feel like I don't know enough about this, right? Surely you get sunburned, I think, correct? Right? You can do that.
Not really. And honestly, up until I was about 15, we never wore sunscreen because we didn't think black people would get sunburned. And someone told my mom, actually, you can. So we started wearing it. But
I don't wear sunscreen very much. We've talked about that before on the show. But it's pretty swollen, huh?
Well, and not even so much swollen. There's just like a ton of blood pooling under the fingernail. It's like looks crazy as hell. Very painful. Yeah. And the door closed. Like it closed. And I went to go pull before I realized it was in there. I went to go pull it. I'm like, why is my hand not moving? And then suddenly was hit with like a rush of pain. And the pain is so bad, like you get like a heat flash and it's like, damn. And you start like breaking a little bit of a sweat. Mm-hmm. And then it was like a PTSD flashback because suddenly I was 7 years old again. I tweeted about this morning in my grandma's backyard, getting in her Wagoneer with the wood panel size of the Titanic, and someone slammed my finger in the car door, and I lost my fingernail. So 2 times in 5 years, but that's neither here nor there. We got some interesting topics to talk about today, and we might as well just go ahead and dive in. I think the first one that I want to talk about is we haven't heard much this week about it, but it's this constant back and forth over like not just Austin Metcalf, and for those who don't know, Austin Metcalf was the kid in North Texas who was stabbed by another kid at a track meet and killed, and it has turned into this like massive race war, at least on social media, leading to people even calling Austin Metcalf's dad weak for not criticizing black people. But rather criticizing the, like, I don't know if you call them white supremacists or whoever these people were that were holding rallies, criticizing them. So now he's getting beat up too. And so in my opinion, when you're attacking the victim's father, you're probably on the wrong side of things. But the bigger question is, have you guys noticed a lot more controversial or heated conversations about race relations lately, and particularly on Twitter? Or is that just me?
I mean, I don't know. It might just be you. I mean, it seems like just more par for the course when certain, political things align. This seems to pop up. Some sort of race relation thing happens, and it becomes like they make us fight online a whole bunch. But then there's the BCM podcast, and look at us guys. we're breaking barriers here. You know, I don't think two white guys and a black guy have ever done a podcast.
Michael, you want to answer the question?
Well, Brad gets uncomfortable on this topic. He was trying to ask you earlier if black people bruise.
That's not what I was. That wasn't if they bruise. Obviously, they bruise. But my question is more like how, like, it's got to be a little bit more difficult to tell, right? I would think, maybe.
Are we back to the bruising?
That was just setting up
if
my
you're
answer.
very dark skinned, yes. If you're like my color, no, it's not difficult to see.
How dark are you?
I'm like, I'm dark, but I'm not black. I'm okay. Let me clarify before that gets out of hand. I am black, but like there are people who are very, very blacker than I am. They're much, much deeper shades.
He's no Hakeem Olajuwon. Hakeem Olajuwon's so black that he's blue.
Right.
Hakeem is more like an 8 on a scale of 10.
Yeah, we had a kid in school who was very dark. I think he was from Nigeria, and we would say he was so black he was purple. I mean, he would say it too. Like, and it was because it was so black that like.
Who is that black model / actress from the 80s? Did like action movies. Grace Jones. She's very black, right?
Yeah, so is Anoke. She's like the new Grace Jones. I don't know if you've seen her.
The new Grace Jones.
Well, I think to respond to your question while you guys go find a 10 out of 10 on the how black are you scale. I think to respond to your question is I think that there was, or at least for me, I'll speak for me. I think that there was some hope that we were done with all this race is paramount stuff and everything is viewed through a racial lens with, Trump's win in November and like getting rid of the DEI stuff and all the woke people kind of being put on the fringes of society a little bit. But there are like two things that I guess I didn't consider post the Trump election. And we've seen it kind of manifest in Israel versus Palestine. That has a racial component. It's two different races, fighting each other. We saw it in the Austin Metcalf versus the Carmelo Anthony thing. We've seen it in the Muslim cities in Texas thing. So there's all these things that have kind of a racial undertone, obviously immigration. So first, I think that people on the right are a little emboldened because of the win, and they're misappropriating that new cultural power that they have into these fights that are clearly have a racial undertone. And then second, I think, man, that tribal instinct that we all have, that us versus them, that shit is strong. And I don't know that you can ever really get rid of that. And when these things come up, it's like millennia of biology built into us, not forces us, but we choose sides. And oftentimes it's the side of the people that have the same color of skin as us. And I think that that's, like I said, millennia of biology and tribalism that we're fighting with there.
So I agree that it is a lot of biology, and the reason I noticed this is I was talking to my friend this week. We do this thing every Monday in the Cleveland unit, a prison here in Houston, and we talked about it's about 90 guys, and there's two 90, 45 chairs here, 45 chairs here, and they all are in the same unit, so they talk, they eat together, blah 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 blah. Then when they come in and sit down, they naturally just self-segregate. And like you look at the room and like by and large it's white, Spanish, maybe Muslim, black, like just segregated. And so it's really interesting. But I don't agree that it's not something we can ever get rid of. Because like if you look back at the 90s and even the early 2001 things changed, I think, against Muslims. But the 90s, race relations in the United States, while not perfect, were not top of conversation all the time. Like people were fine. We didn't have this. There was a tweet that was going on, and maybe I am seeing more of this than you guys. I don't know. It could be because of like the things that I pay attention to or follow. But I didn't mean that offensively, Brad. I meant that we all follow different things, and so maybe it's something that I see.
You're gonna have to try a little bit harder to offend me. Come on.
And so there was a tweet that went like viral the other day of a guy saying that the KKK was actually founded to protect white people from all of the freed slaves who were now going to seek retaliation against them, even if they were not involved in slavery. So therefore, the KKK was actually not that bad when it started, because it was to protect them from these like crazy people. And it had, I don't even know how many. I mean, it went wildly viral, and people were like, "Yeah, you're so right." Like, it seems different to me. It just seems very different to me. People who used to say crazy things used to get shouted down and would stop saying crazy things, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore.
Well, real quick, I just want to respond. OJ, that fell. The support versus the opposition, that fell almost like squarely on racial lines. But Brad, you were going to say something, and that was the 90s.
As did Rodney King, and that was in the 90s too. So yes, I agree. I don't disagree that there were issues, that like there were bubble up points, but I don't think it was as constant of a conversation.
Kanye West solved it for us, guys. Kanye West tweeted, "I decided today I'm white." You shake your head, Charles, but what other solution is there than to be transracial? Rachel Dolezal, she tried. Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, Michael, it sounds like what you're saying is that racism, and I mean, I'm going to use that term as lightly as I can, but maybe tribalism is a better word, is ingrained in our DNA. And if, Charles, you agree with that, then I don't know that you can outgrow it. You can't really outgrow your DNA. You can be trained to ignore it, maybe. But I think it's a common thing, Charles, what you're describing, that in prisons, people will self-segregate into their own tribes. And part of that is for protection, and part of that is, familiarity and culture and all sorts of stuff, right? But people most often marry someone of their own race, right? They most often date people of their own race. Obviously it's not 100%, but that happens a lot. And I think that's, where that's the most free thing that you can do, who you're choosing as a mate. No one is forcing you to do that. And people often choose someone of their own.
But that's more because of circumstance.
It's because of circumstance.
Yeah, if you are a white person and you're raised in dead center Newark, New Jersey, and you don't ever leave Newark, New Jersey, the likelihood of you marrying a black woman, or a Hispanic woman's lesser than would be less likely than a black woman. A black woman is much higher. Like, you would probably end up marrying a black woman because that's the circumstance that you were in, the people that you're around.
I don't think so. I think that yes, you're going to be more likely, but it's still probably. I would bet money. I'm not going to look it up, but I would bet money that white people in that situation more often than not marry other white people. And yeah, it's more common than, say, I don't know, fucking the whitest Oklahoma City, right? But it's still
pretty diverse.
Oklahoma City?
Yeah, it's Oklahoma City's done a lot in the past 10 years. It's crazy.
Done a lot?
Yeah, it's neither here nor there. We can have
because they have those film subsidies,
And they have a really interesting sales tax, quote unquote, scheme going on too. It's not a scheme in a negative sense.
What are you talking about? What I'm saying is more likely than what you're saying. Yes, they're more likely. If you're white and you live around a whole bunch of black people, you're more likely to marry a black person, I think is probably true. But I still think the most likely thing for you to happen to you is to marry a white person. I think that, but you're also making a good point. In the 90s, I was thinking about this before the show. In the 90s, that I never thought about like black or white or anything like that. There happened to be a black kid that lived on my street, and it was a pretty white neighborhood, and that was kind of unique, but we didn't not like him. We thought he was cool. His name was Jordan, and I thought, surely he's related to Michael Jordan. It was totally fine. I never thought about it. I think what happened, and I think people have pointed this out and done the charts and the graphs and all this stuff, but when Occupy Wall Street was going on and really ramping up, and people were starting to realize that it's the people at the top, the oligarchy, the corporatists that are involved, embedded in the government and paying for special treatment and all that stuff. That's when you started really seeing a kickoff of the word racism in all the media, and people were writing pieces about race. And so now, instead of it was top versus bottom, it was black versus white. It's immutable characteristics, and that will never change. So you can't it's just going to be a forever fight if they keep pushing it. I can maybe move to the upper 20% of earners in the United States, but I can never change the fact that I'm white. And so we constantly fighting. So it's actually advantageous to them if they keep us divided, because then we're always fighting each other, never them.
And involved in all of that was the onset of social media, and now we're all have access to information and posting shit that comes into our head instinct or in a reactionary way on social media immediately. That didn't exist in the 90s. So I don't know, but I think there's something to what you're asking, Charles, because I've noticed it as well. And I think it's, yes, all the things we're talking about, but also the right kind of one is winning the culture war.
So, okay. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
No, I mean, and they are, I think, in my opinion, misappropriating their energy towards what they feel is revenge for the past, decade.
I think that's a fair statement. I don't know that this issue can be boiled down to right and left. I think it's interesting when you look at it on Twitter. Yes, it's about political stuff and policy, and then it wraps in race. When I'm on Instagram, the videos I'm seeing now are like people on the streets like actively saying the N-word or like things like that. Like you're seeing more of that on Instagram. And then on Facebook, you see it's kind of like a different form. It's not really like ignorant. It's just like making fun. Like a lot of people making fun of other races, but in jest, and it's not offensive. But I think on all three platforms, I've been seeing an increase of this. The political one being Twitter and being the most prominent because where I spend most of my time. So, but anyway, we can move on to the next topic. We talked this one to death, and there's going to be plenty more race things to talk about in the future. So anyway, next up, I want to talk about why Matthew McConaughey and what's that other actor's name?
Woody Harrelson
have been being paraded around the Capitol to sell, what is it, $500 million?
$500 million every 2 years until 2035.
So they're being paraded around the Capitol to fleece the taxpayers. What is going on? Why? And is it a good idea?
I don't think it's a good idea. Oh, you're going to go to Michael first again. Please, Michael.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Brad.
He first last time, but okay.
Yeah, I know. That's
Nobody's keeping score.
Oh, no, I'm keeping score.
You were within 100 feet of McConaughey yesterday, so go.
We were within.
Oh, were you guys really? Did you say hi?
I smelled them. So I mean, I just think it's interesting that the film industry is becoming like a government program. I'm not really sure why we're doing that. Why is the state of Texas, specifically Governor Abbott or the governor's office, whoever might be in the mansion at the time, why are they deciding who's getting paid and what and all this from the government coffers? That doesn't make a lot of sense. And why are we giving it to people that generally hate us, that hate what is generally considered Texas values, Republican values, conservative values, whatever you want to call it? The Hollywood elite don't like Texas values, so we're going to give them money to like propagandize us more. Seems kind of odd, but maybe there'll be guardrails when someone like Greg Abbott's in office. Who's going to be the next governor? I don't know. Gina Hinojosa? What is she going to do? All right. What is she going to, what kind of flicks is she going to fund? Sarah Eckhart, Michael, what kind of movies is she going to fund? Right. So
adult ones.
Yes. And I don't know. I think it's not a good idea. I don't think it's great to pay our enemies. Makes not a lot of sense. And why are a bunch of rich Hollywood elite, why are they more important? I don't get it. Like, they make plenty of money. Why are we giving them ours?
Did you guys watch the ad?
Yes, the original ad. I don't know if there's another one, but the one where they were in the car and
yeah, with Woody and McConaughey and
Lincoln?
Billy Bob Thornton and Luke Wilson and somebody else.
People that all stand to benefit so much from this.
Pitching. If any industry doesn't need subsidies, it's the film industry. I think that's obvious. But all of these little economic development schemes, they all hire these very expensive consultants to create an economic impact to justify this expenditure of public funds on incentivizing, whether it's convention centers or like recruitment incentives or any of these things. When I say recruitment, I mean like getting a business to move to your city or build a headquarters in your city. They all have these huge economic analysis studies that they do that all say, yeah, you got to spend the money, because if you don't, you're not going to get this $2 billion in economic impact. I think they're all kind of convention centers. I think they're all kind of bullshit. I think, obviously, I'm probably against using incentives to kind of recruit this kind of stuff. Just I'm temperamentally libertarian on this issue. But if we try to put ourselves in their shoes, or the people that are advocating for this, including, very conservative Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, it's like you either play the game or you don't get the business. So all these other states are trying to recruit the film industry to their state. They're going to spend money. So if Texas doesn't create its own incentive program, they can't compete for it, and we don't have that industry invest in films in Texas. And maybe you're fine with that. I'm probably fine with that, but that's their justification. And why are they having McConaughey parade down here? Well, because these reps and senators and elected officials want to be seen with celebrities because they think it's cool, and they're starstruck, and then they'll make irrational decisions because they're not thinking clearly.
It is kind of cool.
Well, and to be fair, he does sell himself as Mr. Texas, always at the UT games, always repping Texas. So I'll give him a little credit, but yeah, it is for celebrity. I think it's interesting though, because to me, this is an admission that the state hasn't created an environment that is strong enough to compete on its own, right? If you were saying that we have to do this, you were essentially saying that we cannot create an environment that is strong enough to compete, whether that is because of property taxes, whether it's because of regulations, whether it's because of a political climate, whatever the case may be, you're saying that we can't compete without handing over $500 million every 2 years?
Every 2 years.
But is it saying that, or is it saying that these other states are going to give us a bunch of money, and if you're not going to do that, we're not going to come to your state?
I get that's
a very perverse incentive. I'm not saying I support it. I'm just saying it comes down that simply, whether it's convention centers or business recruitment or film subsidies. They've created this incentive structure that is a race to the bottom. Who can give them, which state, which government can give them more of their taxpayer money to get them to relocate?
Yeah. And Georgia's going to be freaking out about this probably. So the same consultants are going to go over to Georgia and be like, look, Texas just did $500 billion every 2 years. You got to do $500 million every year. Right. And the consultants are going to be the ones that win every single time.
So the choice really is, I think, in practical terms, is Texas either sits it out and says we don't want to compete for this film industry, or the other choices, we're willing to spend taxpayer money to get them here. Those are the practical choices. I probably would say let films be made here that don't need taxpayer money. And
I would say, why do you guys have so much of our tax money? You're throwing around fucking Hollywood. What is happening? I
wouldn't take an issue with them easing regulations and the ability for these film companies and film shoots and all this stuff to operate in Texas. If you want to do that the same way you do other things, reciprocity for a license in another state in Texas, or certain favors or things, I wouldn't have as much of an issue with that. But to hand over money is just a little ridiculous to me. And I don't know, there have been numerous studies that show, whether it's tax abatements for businesses, big spending on stadiums, this kind of stuff does not produce the economic impact that they claim. Study after study has shown that.
It never does.
Never.
Yeah.
Ever. And yet the politicians keep doing it as if they've never seen the studies, which is impossible. They have, which kind of makes you question, what are they really up to? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Why? What? So why are we everyone's complaining about property taxes, and it seems like they're having billions of dollars of excess property taxes all the fucking time. Is that'll change? I'm sure, there'll be a bad session every once in a while. What can we just get our property taxes back, please? Why are we making I texted it to you. I'm sure we'll talk about it. The fucking Texas NIH that Brian Harrison was moaning about on the floor the other day, moaning correctly. He should be. Why are we creating another agency? Why don't we just let Texans keep their money?
Well, because the state of Texas doesn't have any property taxes. You don't pay any property taxes to the state of Texas.
Okay.
You pay sales tax, gas tax. Those are their two main sources of revenue. So none of your property taxes are there. They're in your schools, your cities, your counties, your special purpose districts, your MUDs, all that stuff. So that's the first thing. They have a surplus of sales tax revenue and other revenues, gas tax, not as property tax. The second thing, and it's a kind of a segue, which is on all of these incentive programs that the state has, I think that Governor Abbott and the people leading this have a very short-sighted view. They are recruiting tech businesses, they're recruiting film industry, they're recruiting Fortune 500 companies, all of which have a workforce that's primarily left of center. So they're watering down their vote margins by recruiting all these industries to Texas that don't vote Republican for the most part. Wouldn't you want to tailor your economic incentives to industries that might vote more heavily Republican, so we can grow the margin here and do more things that are good for taxpayers and businesses? I don't know what that looks like, but
that point just reminded me of something Brad said that I wanted to bring back up, which was that what happens when it's a Governor Eckhart or a governor whoever else. And this is my problem with a lot of what the legislature does. They operate as though Republicans are always going to be in charge. This was my problem with HB 2127, the Death Star bill, which is that we've often said, when I moved to Texas, I always heard that it's great because you have all these different cities, some chartered, some not. They get to do whatever they want. So you don't like what Houston's doing, you move to Sugar Land, which is true. And I don't think ultimately, I don't think the Death Star bill is as expansive as my original contention was. But with things like that, what happens when you do get Democrats in control, and then they can use that as a way to usher in their policies? And there's no other Texas to move to, because now you have a statewide bill that overrides local ordinances. So you can't move from city to city. You're not moving to another state. Now you're just stuck there. And so I don't think we do this forward thinking thing enough, where we're like, hey, down the road, they're going to use this against us. So maybe we should tailor it or not do it, or whatever the case is. Let's just charge forward.
Well, sure. I think that's totally. There's no personal recourse in anything that they do. They don't suffer the negative or the positive. They just move on to the next gig, or they don't run for your election. And then who cares? They just get the limelight and the praise in the moment, and that's all they care about. That's it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that is it. And I guess that is a great transition to the MAHA bill, because what is getting the limelight and the praise in the moment, it's Michael's favorite issue. And so I'm curious to get Michael's take on this, because there's Make America Healthy Again legislation in the legislature.
Legislature?
Yeah, in 10 different legislatures, but yes, the one we're talking about is the Texas legislature. And Michael knew that I had reservations about a bill that would limit certain purchases by those using welfare benefits. And he said, he called me a washed up, has-been, good-for-nothing, two-bit ragamuffin, and said that I was wrong on this. And so I want to hear from Michael, his perspective, and Brad too, obviously, on this issue, on which of these bills, because I know there are a number of bills, which of these bills you're most excited about or concerned about?
Well, I want to level set. The conversation that Charles and I had was on the SB 379, which is the SNAP bill, which says you can't use SNAP benefits, which are taxpayer-funded food stamps, essentially, to buy sodas and candy. They say prepared desserts, sugary drinks. That's what the bill says. That's the one. There's a bunch of MAHA bills, but that's the one that we are on opposite sides of, I would say. We had Travis McCormick on the podcast. So instead of telling you what I think, I have a question for you, Charles. Do you like your tax dollars funding things that are bad in the world?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's a perfect reason.
No, I don't like my tax dollars funding things that are bad in the world.
Then why do you like your tax dollars funding things that are bad for your fellow citizens, especially those of low income?
So I have two issues. And my first one is that I do take issue with trying to tell people what they should or should not buy, but that is not why I stand in opposition to this. I just haven't, I just don't like it, but it's not the reason that I'm concerned about this. The reason I'm concerned about this is because you're limiting it. You're saying, so candy, for instance, is a very broad definition. And in that broad definition, there are differences with things like how they look at Kit Kats and how they look at Snickers. Chex Mix can fall under the guise of it. I read an article on governing yesterday that I think it wasn't Arkansas. I don't know what state passed the same bill, and you couldn't buy Chex Mix suddenly or Trail Mix. And so my issue is that it is not defined enough. There are a lot of things that are considered candy under a technical sense that might not be what we are attempting to try to get people to stop eating. And then secondly, in Texas, you have a lot of small cities that have over the years. So you have kind of like 3 tiers when you look at stores. You have convenience stores. You have like the kind of Dollar Tree, Dollar General types of stores, which oftentimes will sell fresh fruit and things, but at it for $1 for a reasonable price. And then you have grocery stores. When you go to those convenience stores, you go in there and you're buying a banana for $2 at a convenience store. When you go to dollar store, you're buying it for $1. When you're going to an HEB or something, you'll probably get it for like 56 cents, 76 cents if you're buying one banana. So when you ban certain things or when you like limit certain stores and stuff like that, you're telling someone to take this limited food stamps that they have, and now you have to go buy a $3 banana because this is what we're saying you have to eat, even though you can't get to another place easily that is reduced cost, right? Or you're at these stores where they take all the things that say not for resale, and they split them up and then they charge twice the amount for them. So you're putting these people in a situation where it's like, okay, well, I can't get to the store and this is the only thing I can buy, so I'm going to pay $2 for banana. So what do they end up doing? They do what everybody has done for years. They just sell their food stamps to someone else and take the cash. And so I just think it should be better tailored. That's my issue.
That's your issue. Well, go Brad.
Oh no, you're fine. I'll chime in.
I was gonna say, to your first point, we don't want people eating Chex Mix. That's horrible.
That's what I was gonna say.
So whether or not it eliminates Chex Mix is not really of a concern for me. I mean, 20% of SNAP benefits, which are supposed to, according to their own website, SNAP provides food benefits to low-income families to supplement their grocery budget so they can afford nutritious food essential to health and well-being. Chex Mix is not that. It's not that.
Okay. Before you go on,
neither is soda, and neither is candy.
I have no issue with soda. I have no issue with soda.
With it being eliminated?
Yeah, I have no issue. I mean, if the bill said we're going to stop them from buying soda, I wouldn't take issue with it.
Oh, okay.
It seems like
soda, because that's
like
very clear. Like soda is a thing. Like there's no question about what soda is, and so no, I wouldn't have an issue with that at all. But my thing is also, if say Chex Mix is bad, but when you have a kid that is on free or reduced lunch and now it's summer and their parents are working all day and they don't get lunch because their parents can't afford it, and the only thing they can buy is Chex Mix, we're going to say you can't buy that. Like now that's the issue that I have. Until you fix that problem, you're putting people in a situation where they might not have other options.
If both parents are working, I don't know why they can't afford like rice and beans. Not that I think that rice and beans are the greatest thing in the world, but that's better than fucking a candy bar. Like, what do you? Like, that's like the rice and beans. Like, you can make a stew for really super cheap. It doesn't have to be candy and processed foods.
So if you don't live near a supermarket, right, and you can't get to, first of all, not there. Hear me out.
There are rice and beans
out there. So the fact that you started with a 2-family home says a lot. But there are a lot of single-family homes.
You said that. You said both parents.
What about what?
You said when it's these kids are on free and reduced cost lunch, and then it's summer and both parents are working. That's what you said.
Sorry. Okay. Well, then that's on me. So if you take a bag of red beans, if you go to HEB, bag of red beans is 99 cents. If you go to a convenience store in a neighborhood, a bag of red beans is going to be like $2.50. So this is what I'm saying. You're diminishing their buying capacity. And so, yeah, it's great they could buy that. And then what happens when they run out of money on the 17th?
Look, I don't know this food desert issue that you're pushing. I don't know how, what is that? How much of a food desert is it really? Is the convenience store really the only thing that you could possibly drive to on a Sunday to go get like a bunch of beans and rice for the rest of the week? Like, you can't make that drive. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that it's less convenient. Their HEB might be less convenient than my HEB. Sure, I believe that exists, but you can't drive the extra 15 minutes.
Brad, there are people at the end of the week who need to decide if they're going to drive anywhere or save a little bit of gas they have to get to work on Monday. Like that is like that's real for a lot of people. Lot of people.
I just,
the people
that's
of
fine.
the population that we were speaking about too. Like nonetheless.
But first, convenience stores have rice and beans.
Yeah.
They have canned goods, which are on a per calorie, which are fake basis, are way less expensive than a candy bar. So their money will go further if they're using the $2 for rice and beans versus a candy bar. The money will go further. Yes. It's just what is the store trying to sell to them? Well, right now it's relying on addictive chemicals that have been put in our food since we were children to get us hooked on processed sugars, so that when we walk in, our freaking dopamine in our brain goes off and we're like, give me that sugar. Whereas if we had SNAP benefits not being allowed to be used for those things, the convenience stores would change with their marketing, because they would have to. The market would respond. I don't know how to solve the education gap. Whereas, like, if I had very little money and I needed to eat for a week, I would buy a bunch of lentils. They're super nutrient dense. They've got a lot of protein. They're wicked cheap. And you can make a soup, or you can do it with rice or whatever. I don't know how to teach people that, like how people are going to learn that. That is a real problem. But they're not going to learn it if they can just walk into a convenience store and spend their little bit of money on candy bars. It's just not going to happen.
My thing is with like, okay, they need to learn it, and okay, the market's going to fix it. Neither of those are immediate. Like, yes, people need to learn that. And do I think government should be the one teaching them? Probably not. But the population that we're talking about, which is probably a larger percentage than the other population that is not on these benefits, undereducated, and
sicker, higher healthcare costs. I know.
But I think my issue is, I think the conversation doesn't really take into consideration the lives of the people who live this every day. I think that's my frustration, is that people aren't actually like putting themselves in these people's shoes and saying, okay, if this changes tomorrow, how does the person A's life change, and what must they do? What hurdles must they jump through to be able to accomplish something or get something? And that's my issue. Like, it's great in concept, but I foresee us running into issues because it doesn't seem as though we're having a conversation about the actual people who use these on a day-to-day basis.
Is there an argument to be made that we're making it too easy for people?
Yeah.
Meaning, like, all right, you're concerned about the difficulty of it, which is fine. I get it. But if we just make it too easy for people, then what's their motivation to get off of it, right? Like, what can we do to, if we make it a little bit more difficult, it's a little bit more, like, slightly more uncomfortable to get a bag of lentils in Michael Searle's poor world. Then, if we make that too easy, then he's never going to go buy the lentils.
And in the practical sense, what they're going to do is buy something that they're allowed to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you're eliminating the worst of the worst, soda, candy, potato chips,
they might buy what they're going to buy, or they're going to sell their food stamp to somebody else.
Maybe.
And get money for it. And that's like a thing.
You can't prevent all dumb acts. I mean, people are going to do that one way or the other, and fucking, buy Lucy's,
Yeah. But the other thing I don't think you're considering here is the cycle these people are in. They live shorter lives, and that's partly, low-income people live shorter lives, and that's partly due to their diet. Mm-hmm. They're not as healthy. So even they're living or they're not living as long, but they're also unhealthy because of the food that largely because of the food that they're eating. So if this can help nudge them in a better direction.
Do you think if this bill passes, we're going to suddenly see an improvement in the health of the people who utilize the program?
No. It's an incremental change that is a positive step. It is certainly not going to fix everything. And there are other issues in addition to diet that are at play here.
It's better. It's best for the kids, I think, here. I mean, the adults might be a lost cause. Not that we shouldn't try, but the adults might be a lost cause. It's the kids. The kids.
So I have a question for both of you.
I have answers.
If you believe that the way you framed the question to me, Michael, was should our tax dollars go to bad things? why would, instead of doing what they're doing, why would you guys not support them giving people meal plans and just giving them that food, 3 meals a day, delivering it? If they could do it at a reasonable cost, why would you support a program like that?
Teach a man to fish.
Teach a man to fish.
Wise the underlying point is to make these people healthier and to not have them on the back end of it. And that seems like that would be the most effective way, because you're, instead of giving them the money, you're giving them the healthy foods. Then why would you not support that program?
See, I'm going to piss off the conservatives here. I'm supportive of my tax dollars going to help people who are in need. That I'm supportive. Snap. But I would severely limit what it can be used for. It's more than this bill does, because the diet is a major contributing factor to other issues, and we're not helping them by getting them on food that's addictive and makes them sick. It's not helping them. It's making things worse. So if I severely limited it to vegetables, rice, and protein and dairy, I'd probably be fine with that. And I think the market would respond.
Okay, but to my question, and I want to know, both of you, like, would you support a program like that? If they said, instead of giving you the money per month, we're going to deliver you, let's say, 3 meals a day for 30 days, 90 meals for, say, if you're a household of 1, if you're a household of 4, whatever 90 times 4 is, we're going to deliver you these healthy meals, and that's what you will eat instead of that. Would you guys support that program?
I mean, you're asking me to support what's the alternative? There's a lot of devils in the details there. Am I supportive of it over our current system? I mean, I could see that, as if I was forced to choose between those two options, I could.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about alternatives to the current system, because the bill is an alternative to the
but if they're delivering, if there's a fucking Bluebell ice cream as a side on every single meal, I might say
obviously would not be a Bluebell ice cream.
You say obviously, but it's the fucking government.
I just laid out what it was. I just laid out what the program is.
You did.
In concept, yes, I would support that. If Nabisco is administering the program, it's probably not going to be super effective. But yes, I would support sending actual food rather than just money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would be great is if Sid Miller got up in on this. And he's like, we're gonna just send a Texas beef to all these households, and they just got like 10 pounds of beef every week for a family.
I don't know why they wouldn't like call the boar and like give people free boar meat or something.
No, well, there's a fucking hog problem in Texas. Feral hogs should be getting lit up from a helicopter with machine guns, and those boars should be harvested and given to the poor. And that actually happens a lot. Hunters do that quite a bit. They'll, like, when they have to cull deer, like a land management season, they'll donate a shitload of meat to local shelters. And that's great. Good for you, hunters. But
I believe it. I'm just saying, we got a lot of state-owned land.
10 pounds of beef. It could even be like private land. Like you could probably start a company where you're managing feral hogs, like getting them off people's land, and you could take that meat and give it to poor people. I think that would be awesome. If y'all are interested in doing that, I would love to. It's really fun. Hunting boar is really fun.
So the next question is, do you guys know how you will die? Or do you have a hunch on how you will die? Like, if you had to think about
what's the criteria for this? How do you know?
Oh my God. Why do you have to look too deep into everything? It is a simple surface level question.
There's nothing simple or surface level about predicting how you will die, but go on.
Do you have a hunch? Like, there are a lot of people who have, repeated dreams throughout their life of a certain way of dying, and like maybe it never happens, but they think that that's the way they're going to die. Do you just have a hunch on how you're going to die?
I'll put it this way. I have no plans on meeting JD Vance anytime soon. You know what I mean?
No.
Because he killed the Pope?
Oh.
Charles got it, but he's just being real difficult today because he's in a sour mood. And he doesn't want to give me a laugh.
Okay, that is true.
No, I don't know I'm going to die. I'm going to die because I'm old and this 6'6" body has broken down to a point that it can no longer, the heart can no longer sustain itself. And then
old for a 6'6" body is like 50 though.
Yeah, I know. It's like in a couple of years.
Oh gosh. I really hope that it's surrounded by my loved ones and my children. And I hope that they like really admire the dad that I was, and live on and to use all the lessons that I taught.
Hey, we're not asking for the eulogy.
This is not an easy question. Like it's a fun question, Charles. I love it. It's great, but it's not an easy question. How do I die? I mean, with a smile on my face.
Well, it is an easy question because if you've ever had a hunch, like if you ever in your life said like, hey, I think.
How do you know you've had a hunch about how you're going to die? Like maybe it's just a weird thought and you just like it's a hunch, but you mistook it for just a weird thought.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe it is a weird thought. I'm not saying it's going to be accurate. I'm saying, do you feel like you know a way that in which you might die? Like, for instance, I think I'm going to die drowning, even though that is a terrifying way of drowning.
Holy shit. Wait,
okay, go on.
Talked about this. You can or cannot swim.
No, I can't swim.
Okay, which is you should learn how to swim, Charles, if you want to improve race relations. 1, 2. This is how. I mean, why would you drown? Who's doing that to you? You don't know how to swim. You should stay away from bodies of water.
So fun story, and then I'll tell you why I have the hunch. So fun story. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago, my friend Ryan and his now wife, then girlfriend, were here in Texas, and they were in Austin. So I went to go meet up with them, and we went tubing out in the hill country. And he's a firefighter, she's a nurse, and I can't swim. And so I'm like, all right,
you don't know how to swim.
Yeah, I've been doing it a couple times and I don't know how to swim. I don't get off the tube. But this time I was like, I slipped through the tube and I was like bobbing. And so I would like grab the tube and I would get up and get some air. But I'm the kind of person where like, if something's going wrong, I don't want to cause a scene. Like it's just embarrassing. So like, let me just try to get this handled myself. But it wasn't being handled. Like I'm 5'8". I couldn't reach this part where we were. I could not reach the ground. I was trying to pull myself up, and firefighter, nurse, they're just sitting there and they're looking. And now in hindsight, they say the reason they didn't do anything to help was because every time I would come back up, I would pretend to laugh like nothing was wrong. But actually, I was like struggling to survive.
Laughing as you drown. That is very Charles Blain. Very Charles Blain.
The reason that I think that I'm drowning is because when I was a kid, I used to always have this dream that I was driving in the desert for some reason. I was between two large canyons and my car broke down and I got out, and then you heard this rumbling and suddenly this massive wave like just came and killed me. And so I had this dream like for a long time. And so I think I'm gonna die drowning. Like I might not, but
you could learn to swim and then you would drastically decrease your chances of dying drowning.
Yeah. Sounds like an easy thing to do.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
You can. Why don't you learn how to swim? I don't understand that.
I don't have time to learn how to swim.
It doesn't take time. Literally, learn to doggy. I'll teach you how to swim in an hour.
Get out of here.
Yes, I have taught adults how to swim before, and it's not like a crazy amount of time. You just need to learn how to tread water.
All right. Well, we'll put it on the agenda. Okay. Maybe sometime this summer.
Happy to do it.
We're gonna skip the next one, which I don't know why I put it on there actually, which was, do you know who the next pope is gonna be? I'm assuming no one here actually does. So is anyone here Catholic? Any Catholics in the room?
No Catholics. Oh. What is that?
What do you guys?
Family, my parents were Catholic, but I'm not. No.
Are you guys angry. Anything? Or what do you like? Are you practicing anything or no? No. Okay, Brad.
Too angry.
And what am I practicing? I pray.
Are you?
I pray regularly, and I've been watching the local Orthodox Church YouTube feed on Sundays as often as I can.
Orthodox what?
Orthodox what? What do you mean? Like
Jewish Orthodox?
Jewish?
Yeah.
I'm watching
Orthodox.
Russian.
Yes.
Russian Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox, like
Greek
Orthodox.
Greek Orthodox.
Oh, Greek Orthodox? Greek
yes.
Orthodox?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. That's very great. Tell us what you learned next week. Take some notes. Let us know. Have you guys saw the story about Tesla being down 71%?
So the stock is down 71%?
No, I think their earnings or something like that.
Oh, okay. That's important. But no, I didn't see that. That sounds. I thought that I saw the other day that they were like still the number one EV sales, number one in EV sales in America.
As Tesla profits plunge 71%, Elon says he'll spend less time on Doge.
Tesla profits 71%.
Woo! 70% year over year, and their revenue from selling cars dropped 20%. Net income plunged 71% year over year, and the revenue from selling cars plunged 20%.
I mean,
and therefore their stock price went down.
year over year, the stock price is still up, though. It's not. I mean, it certainly dropped from its peak in December. But
do you think the drop is due to like all the outrage over Doge, or like? I mean, I don't know.
It started. The peak was December 16th, and it's dropped somewhat slowly over the months down to where it is today, 259. I'm not sure some of it, but certainly not all of it.
No, Tesla's a weird stock to look at because its PE ratio is way out of whack. PE being price to earnings ratio. Typically, a healthy PE for a big tech company is around 20 to 30. Theirs is like 20 to 30 times price to earnings. Theirs is like 120. A lot of people are betting on the future of Tesla. I mean, yes, they're the largest EV seller in the country of EV cars, but they're still way overpriced in terms of stock price because people are like, where are they going to be in 20 years? I mean, Kathy Wood, who's like runs this fund called ARK Innovation. It's an ETF that tracks like futuristic companies. She has a price projection of Tesla of 3,000 per share in 20 years. And so that's there's a lot of speculation about what Tesla will become and how much it will be worth. And a lot of the stock price is due to that. And then in the wake of Trump's win and Elon's position in the government, I think it got a pretty big bump. Like it's almost like a cryptocurrency, how much it moves in the market. So I would say if you think Tesla's a good company and you think they're around and you like their tech, yeah, I would buy like right now. If the price is 259, I mean, and it's going to 3,000 in 20 years. I mean, it's a super sound investment if you're just putting it there to set it there. But I'm not shocked that it came down. There's macroeconomic factors that are bringing the whole market down. Yeah, the Doge thing, the earnings call. Yeah. And it went on a wild run. So that's what stocks do after they go on a wild run. They come back down to earth. And because Tesla's more like a cryptocurrency than a regular business in the stock market, the big drop doesn't surprise me. It's a good buying opportunity.
Not financial advice.
Well, thank you for that.
No, it's financial advice.
No, it is not financial advice.
Yes, it is.
No.
Oh boy.
This show doesn't have any money to be sued. We can't handle it.
This is not BCM financial advice, but maybe it's Michael Searle financial advice.
Go to michaelbuffett.com and you can get all of his financial advice that he gives.
I said if you're willing to put it there and leave it there for 20 years, you're probably a safe bet.
Yeah.
Park it.
Michael eats at McDonald's every day, drinks Coca-Cola, and still lives in his childhood home.
I keep seeing a lot of Teslas with stickers on them saying, I bought this before I knew he was crazy. And it's like, why would you put that on your car?
I saw one the other day that had
people vandalize your car.
I saw one the other day that had a sticker that said Elon and then a cross through it. I was like, what the heck?
People and the Teslas are getting vandalized. I don't know that it's probably not at its peak right now, but there was a couple weeks there where Teslas were getting really fucked up.
They threw all those people into Gitmo with the Hamas sympathizers.
Yeah. Well, that's a national health issue, Michael. So
true.
Speaking of EVs, do you guys ever feel like sometimes when an EV is pulling up, it feels like you're about to die? Like you hear the hum. It's like, are these the angels coming for me? Is it time to go to the upper room? Because you just hear it. And I've been seeing these memes about it. And I was in the parking lot today walking to my car and I heard it. And it was like, and I was like, is it? Is it my time? Like I'm ready to go. It makes you feel like
the floodwaters are coming to get me. I'm going to drown.
Indeed. All right. So our last topic is, and I hope you guys anyway, tell us one thing that caught your attention this week. Could be anything under the sun. And I hope you guys thought about this because I did send it in advance.
I did think about it.
I did too.
Great.
Who's going first?
I'll go first. Kanye West went on a weird rant earlier this week about his
cousin
and things that happened when he was younger. And it was just super strange to have this outburst on Twitter. But he was saying that he was looking for support and telling people, I don't know, man. Kanye's seemingly been through a lot, and it doesn't seem like he has a lot of people around him who are supporting him. and he also says a lot of crazy things. And so it just caught my eye because I think it caught everybody's eye. But that's really it. That's all I got.
It's hard not to catch your eye. Here's the tweet. The song is called Cousins, about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for killing a pregnant lady a few years after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together anymore. Then he goes on to say, my name is Yay, and I sucked my cousin's dick till I was 14. Way to go. It's one that's going to catch some attention, Charles. That makes sense that it would catch attention. I hypothesize that maybe he's doing that because he feels like now they don't have any dirt on him. Can't
black it out there.
Yeah, you just put it out there. Look, this is something that I did, and I don't know if I read it as if he's not proud of it, which is, I think, maybe the correct read, the hopeful read. And he's just saying, "Hey, this is what happened, and it sucks, and here I am. This is me. I'm a human, laid bare."
He's not just being provocative.
No,
there's no like video evidence, Michael. Like, who knows? Just take him for his word.
I think it was like an admission, a like excited utterance or whatever. Like I think he's probably gone through one of his moments and said, "I'm going to put this out there." I would assume, I don't know how old the cousin is, but at 14, there could be a conversation about that was not consensual. I mean, that was molestation.
I've read that the cousin is younger than him, anywhere from 1 to 5 years.
Okay, so that might be the other way.
I have no idea if that's true.
I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, move on to other things. What do you guys got?
Yeah, okay. I'll go.
Me first?
Sure, go for it.
No, Brad's going to go first.
Well, in other black celebrity news, there's this guy, Ashton Hall. And he does these videos. It's ASMR style where he's catching bottles of Saratoga water. I don't know why he washes his face with Saratoga water, but that's fine. And it's like got this timestamp. Saratoga washes his feet. Really weird that once he's pouring the soap on his feet. Like, why the close up? Who's filming it? Bad posture, always on his phone. Gets massage. It's a regular weekend night for him, he says. He kind of goes, he never once looks happy. Never.
What? I've never heard of this guy. So why is he famous? Why are people taking pictures of him?
He's famous because of these videos.
Was a former NFL football player, didn't make it, and then now he's like a influencer, workout influencer or whatever.
As one does.
He's got like 10 million followers on something, right?
I'm gonna pull up this video again because here's the interesting part. So he's at a restaurant at supposedly 6:45 p.m. They're doing this like weird presentation of food for him, and it's loading. Come on, internet, don't do this to me. Oh my god. There it is.
There's a smile.
It's not real.
There's a smile.
It's totally soulless. You got the beef eating. I encourage you guys to go watch this video. He's just not happy.
Huh.
I don't know that I'm going to go out of my way to watch it. I don't know why, and I'm not saying you do this, why people watch, like other influencers do different things, but like, why are you watching his day-to-day life? Like, what is so interesting about it?
He's putting it out there, and it isn't. I mean, it's somewhat interesting because he claims that, I think at the end of that video, it's like a late night or whatever. It's 11:30, 12 midnight when he's going to bed, and he's like supposedly talking to someone. He's like, "Yeah, man, still getting up at 7:40," and like, or no, sorry, not 3:40. Still getting up at 3:40.
True.
And then like show the last scene is him waking up at 3:40 supposedly, and it's like his routine, and everyone's into that. People fucking feel lost, and they don't want like some sort of guidance.
Okay.
They're like trying to figure it out, but this guy does not seem happy.
Huh.
I
only know who he is. I only know who he is because I stole some of his workout videos.
It's working.
See, so even if he's not happy, he's making other people happy, Brad.
I don't think so. Michael?
All right. I went a totally different direction on this than you guys did.
Well,
Mine does not include any black people. Mine does not include any black people. So I noticed something about myself. I don't worry at all. Like my wife is very on edge about certain things. I'm not like that. I don't worry at all. That has changed. Holy cow.
Oh.
When you have a kid, you start to worry about things that you would never think of. And like, I was sitting there the other day and I'm like, oh, where's he at? And I'm like looking at pictures of him and I'm like, I hope he's okay. Like, did anything happen? Should I call my wife? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Just
you're
making
not a
up
worrier.
scenarios.
Yeah. You're not a worrier at all. So that was something that I noticed about myself this week. That's new.
Well, let's sit with that and dig in a little bit. So if you are worried, do you notice this worry extending to other areas now, or is it just regarding your son?
Not yet. Not yet. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. But so far, it's just about him.
Yeah. Will you sit with that and you let us know if it changes? Because that'd be an interesting conversation to have. If it extends to other areas, it would be really interesting. So
yeah.
Thank you all. That was the last topic. The only other one we skipped was the Pope one, and we don't really need to talk about it. But thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode again of the BCM Podcast, episode 78. Please like, share, tell your friends, tell your family. Go fight with Brad in the YouTube section, in the YouTube comment section. I think we're getting TikTok up and running, so you can fight with us there as well. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend and enjoy.
Bye-bye.